Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being the show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Walking Dead. Another great episode. It's very interesting to see this episode structured in the way it was, because it was like a very systematic attack, like I brought up last week's episode, wondering how this season was going to go out. Like, so far it seems like the season is going to be like attack, being all on the offensive, and just seeing the group split up into like three, attacking three different posts. It's all for the purposes of trying to make sure that they don't get the guns and supplies that they need to, as well as making sure the greater savior group doesn't know about them systematically attacking it. But seeing them kind of going in with silence, just pow, 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 pow. We've never really seen them like this. I don't think throughout the entire series they've ever really been systematic like that. Certain degrees, but never to such a large scale. Not like such a large scale operation. The closest thing I would say is probably back in season 6 when they attacked the original, what they thought was the only outpost for the saviors. That's probably the only thing I can think of, but I could be wrong. But I feel like nothing's ever been on this scale before. But a lot of interesting things that went down in this episode. Obviously, one side of things, you have Ezekiel and his group, and him smiling the entire time. He's going top of the words, oh, we got this. We're on to victory. He's got a smile on his face. And the entire time you see Carol shaking her head. Because once again, it's Carol's the only one that knows that this whole King Ezekiel thing is a fraud. She knows it's a fraud. Everyone else is kind of okay, he's a little off his rocker. But everyone's okay, he believes in it. It's no, she's the only one that knows that this is an act. And when they're talking and everything, he's oh, you see why I got this smile on my face? Isn't because, basically, he slips back to his real stuff and is fake it till you make it, girl. Essentially, it's a combination of many different things. He's oh, this is for the others, because by keeping a smile on his face, he's making them all boost in morale. By keeping his spirits up, he's keeping everyone else's spirit. So it's that, but at the same time, it's not. It's just a combination of multiple things of just hey, I'm in this position, and basically everyone around me boasting up everyone else's morale, has basically made this fantasy, this persona that I've created come true because of everyone around me believing in me so much that it's almost to the point, it's almost he's saying it's not a performance anymore, because so many people believe in me, believe in this, everything we've done together, what we've created, then it's almost it's not fake. I mean, that's my way of seeing it. Maybe someone else has a different way of looking at it, but that was my mindset about it. You almost have Carol being why? I don't get it. How can you be so, you don't know how this is all going to play out. We might not win. And it's not all of us are going to survive. But him, he's I'm not thinking about failure. That's not even in my head. Main thing is focus on victory. Yes, there might be some of us who die. Yes, we might lose. But for now, I don't even think about that. All you can do is look forward, face that, some could probably argue that's very delusional. That's not being realistic. But at the same time, it's you have a goal in mind. You aim straight for it. You dream only of success, because the moment you start doubting yourself is when you kind of start making mistakes. So there's an upside to what he does. Even though he sounds like he's a little mad playing into the role a bit too much, there is something to it. Because when it was all said and done, they're well, they do know we're coming now. But he's it's fine, because even before he was even if they know we're coming, it's fine. We'll still be prepared. So, because it's almost interesting, because I do like him and Carol being paired together, because it's almost two opposites. Obviously you have Ezekiel being the more optimistic, but obviously you have Carol being pessimistic, but yet, still, being realistic, pragmatic about everything. But it almost seems it's not even almost, you definitely see a shift in her character, because she kind of smiles, because it's she starts believing in it too. It's I kind of, it's well, it's okay to believe, so that was just kind of an interesting thing with their side of things. Obviously another side of things is the whole thing with Aaron's group kind of acting as cover firing on that group, which his husband Eric getting hit. I'm surprised he walked away just hit. I was okay, this is the fact is he's going to the other side to help out and everything, which Aaron was saying someone else to do it, but Eric was no, I got this. I was the moment I was oh, he's gonna die, isn't he? Please. But then Aaron kind of comes to back him up. It's kind of interesting, because you didn't back anyone else up that was kind of falling over there, but the moment you saw that your husband was kind of in danger, which I'm not going to judge you for, it's this is the person that you love and care about. Going into this situation, all of you are not going to make it out of here. That's something that's already been pre-established. Once again, mention it again, but it's it still doesn't change the fact that you're going to still fight like hell to protect the people that you love. So I appreciate what he was doing. I was actually kind of scared when you start moving the car. I'm like, aren't you taking away someone's cover? Well, it's like, no one's right there anyway. But still, I feel like that leaves an opening for them to get flanked on the side. But I guess it's all good. But still, he got Eric out of there, but Eric did get shot. And I was like, hey, he's not dead yet. So there's that. But another side of things, what really was a big moment to me in this episode was the whole Jesus and Tara and Morgan side of things, where it's like those guys want to help Morgan, but Morgan's like, no, I won't, like, I don't die. It's kind of what he was saying. Like, so basically he'll handle things by himself. He doesn't necessarily need backs, which I guess ultimately proved to be somewhat true when those guns got unloaded. When that happened, I was actually surprised. I was like, oh. I was like, wow. I was like, I don't think Morgan's dead, but it's like, that kind of took me by surprise. I was like, holy crap. And then it turns out he's not dead. Only, like, one dude is dead and the other dude is dying beside him. You almost see, like, a smirk on Morgan's face. Like, I guess I was right about that. And went crazy into a one-man army, like, almost like Terminator mode, just going bam, 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 like, taking everyone down by himself like that. Pretty impressive. What Jesus is setting up, he is like trying to spare people, especially that one guy's like, okay, we can't kill this guy. Tara's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I didn't even know which side I would have believed too. It's like, Tara's like, we got to kill this guy. But Jesus is like, no, he's unarmed and everything. I was like, I don't know. Cause I get the feeling like Tara's going to kill him, but it's like, it's going to be revealed that he's not a bad guy. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. It's like, maybe we shouldn't, but at the same time, it's like, it's the whole grand situation this is war. Like, Rick gave them their chance at the beginning when he like told others like, hey, okay, ultimately their goal is really to take down Negan and anyone that might come back after them afterwards. Because at the same time, it isn't even just about taking down Negan, because there will be plenty of people, the whole thing, we are Negan. So it's kind of like those people will follow him, like even if he dies. Like the whole thing is like, even if he dies, like the others will still carry on, because even if he's no longer around being Negan, there's someone else that's being Negan, which once again, still have not seen his background. I didn't even think about that at all last season, because that was something I kept wondering. It's like, will we ever get to find out who Negan was initially? Because like the governor, you kind of got to learn who he is. Like a lot of like your main antagonist, which the governor has been the only main antagonist. I mean Shane, but still, like he's the only main antagonist that had come up before Negan. So, but you got to learn about his background, but you haven't really learned anything about Negan, so I wonder would this season do that at all, or whether it's just going to be like, Negan's Negan, and we leave it at that. So I'm fine with it either way. I mean, that's always kind of a conversation I've brought up in the past. Like, I made a video about that. Like, what makes a good villain? Do you need to know your villain's backstory? Or is it just like them being the crazy SOBs that they are in Negan's case, that being extremely true? Then does that matter beyond that, The guy turns out to be a douchebag and takes Jesus at gunpoint, which Jesus ends up taking him down. Dude even made a remark about like, oh yeah, like, cause there was like, Tara ended up finding like prenatal like vitamins or medicine that, Maggie would have needed, and he ended up crushing. It's like, oh, I guess Maggie's gonna die, but Jesus took him down and tied him up and left him. And Tara's like, what are you doing? He's like, Maggie would kind of agree with what I said. And then going back to it, like I said, Morgan taking everybody down systematically at the same time. All these other guys come out, like Jesus is telling them to surrender, and they surrender. So it's like Tara being like, okay, Maggie might agree with you, but Rick is going to agree with me. And even Morgan, when it's all said and done, he pointed a gun at one particular dude, and it's one of the dudes that went with, when it came down to the runs, when the Saviors did runs to get, the tribute from, the kingdom, he was one of those dudes. Now, so you understand why Morgan's in particular pointed a gun at him, is because of the whole, wasn't dude from last season named Bradley, the whole Richard situation, which is kind of something that's kind of interesting too, because Morgan ever since that Richard situation last season, Morgan's been killing. Like there was a whole situation, that was last season when he ended up killing some of those saviors to save Carol. So other than that, like, but even then, like it was an isolated thing, but ever since like killing Richard, he's kind of been on a killing spree. And this episode, you really get to see like that situation of like him kind of caught between, like, obviously see him like reflecting on when like Rick gave him that speech last season of like, we have to go after them before they come after us, and now that's kind of driving him, and it's like, we have to kill them. But Jesus is like, this is not what we do. And it's like, well, then what do we do? I think even Jesus isn't 100% sure. It's like, he's saying this isn't all about revenge, which is kind of like, that was the main, it was kind of like Rick, because it was something, obviously brought up last episode, that Gabriel kind of, was like, hey, this isn't about you, this is about everyone. The whole point is to make a place that isn't just tailored for one person to shape the world to be what they want it to be. It's like, we shape this world so that everyone gets a piece of it, that everyone, you take back this world so it can be taken for everyone, but I mean, that's hard to say, like, because, like, I kind of agree, like, I don't know, like, Rick in the beginning may have agreed, like, I am curious to see what will happen, like, next time, like, will it be, like, they bring this group to them, and it's like, do we kill them or not? Could you understand where Tara's coming from? And Jesus points it out, too, it's like, yeah, they killed Denise, they killed your girlfriend, like, so obviously you're, like, super pissed. I mean, in particular, let's not forget the person in particular that killed Denise was Dwight, and he's the one that's helping them too. So that, I mean, that definitely didn't sit well with Tara last season. So, but still, like, and I think that's probably why she's even more aggravated, because it's not just them in general. It's also the fact is that they're having that be working with Dwight, the person who killed Denise. So that has to sit even like worse with her, so. But listen, it's not even just that. Even if it was Negan who killed Abraham and Glenn, they're still responsible because they backed up Negan, so it's hard to say, even Rick, probably is definitely in this, like, there is revenge motivation behind all of it, like, because everyone's got their own reasons for being here, and it's, a lot of people's like, oh, we're going to set this whole situation free, but at the same time, it's like, there is a tad bit of revenge of, like, everything that the Saviors have done up till now. I am curious to see where Gregory is with the car he drove off and left, Gabriel, behind with Negan last episode, so we still haven't cut back to that, so maybe we'll see that in the next episode. But ultimately, the conversation does make you wonder where will Rick stand at it, especially in this particular episode, because he ended up running across the situation he did, where he ended up killing that dude because trying to get to the guns, and ends up finding like a nursery, and there's a baby inside, and that hits him hard. As a dad with a young kid himself, it's just like crap. This isn't what we thought it was going to be. So either they had already moved, maybe the guns were already, I mean, because that looks like it, like there was a lot of rooms and stuff that kind of make it look like it was like a nursery, like animals and stuff drawn on the wall. So it's like, the question is, did they use that as a nursery and like, well, I'm sure the guards who are there have families, because it kind of puts things in perspective a little bit. It's like, you do forget some of these people who are loyal to Negan, they do have families, they are people too. So it's like, after that situation, you see Rick kind of look at himself in the mirror, kind of wiping the blood off his face, like, like he literally just killed that dude, and there's this baby Gracie, and it's just like, it hits you hard, and it makes you wonder, like, would Rick respond differently to what Jesus is proposing next step? Like, like, would he propose differently before that situation happened and after, or would he still felt the same way? Because for him, it isn't about, killing everyone, because the whole purpose is to, like, take out kind of the loyalists. Which, as we saw that do that with the whole Jesus and Tara situation, it's not even 100% about being loyalists. It's basically like, Negan's kind of broken them down to the point where it's like, they are loyal to him to a certain extent, or whether it's just because they believe like, oh, like this is do or die no matter what. Like because he was even saying like, even if you take me down, I'm gonna take you two down with me. So it's kind of like, who cares? So it's hard to say like what is people's own positions and what's like been ingrained in them by Negan, because there was even a room that Daryl came across that had like a sandwich and a handcuff, and he stopped because it reminds him of the room that he was put in. Which I know that's the same room Sasha was put in later on. I'm pretty sure, because I think that's like, you only have one of those rooms where they try to break people, but like Daryl spent so much time in there. So, but now it's just. But now that situation, I'm like I said, I'm just so curious to see where Rick would stand on it. But now that like the Saviors have been like know what's happening, what's up, that like all their forces know about them coming and stuff like that, they no longer have the element of surprise. So definitely things are already bloody. Things are going to get even bloodier next episode. Plus this might mean they might be ready to kind of like lay siege to Alexandria, because like some of their forces are divided and away from Alexandria, so that might be something we kind of cut to next episode too. But there was that one guy Rick met at the end of the episode. He's like, Morales from Atlanta. Immediately my brain goes, who? What? Side note. Like, if you do know who that is, let me know in the comments down below. Immediately my brain goes like, is that someone from like the original OG group from way back in the day or whatever? Is that someone we ever met during the show? Is that someone he knew beforehand? Maybe that's something like that, because it's like, maybe next episode we'll see like how Rick knows him, because Rick is like, I know you. Like, how do you know this dude? That's why I'm like, because it's been, to anyone that's curious, it's been a very, very long time since I've seen like the earlier seasons. Like, God, how long has it been? It's been a good couple years since I've seen like season 1, because I watched like season 1 and 2 roughly around the time before season 3 ended. So that to kind of put that in that perspective for you. So that was like what, maybe 2012, 2013, something like that. It's the last time I've seen like the earlier season, because they left Atlanta like in after season 1, didn't they? Or were they still kind of roughly around that area in like season 2 and 3? I don't remember. But it's just like, I don't necessarily remember this guy. Like I said, not unless he was part of like the original OG group that like Rick joined up with, with Daryl and Audrey and them. I don't know. I guess that was kind of more so to represent, like, if that is the case, it is supposed to represent the scale of things of like someone you knew even way back then, and now see them in this position of like, now they're working with the saviors, kind of showing you that, like, almost switching the perspective of like, yeah, before now the saviors have been people you don't know, with the exception of Eugene. But now it's like putting a face to like someone that you actually know. So will that make things harder for you going forward, knowing that like, oh, these are people you've come across paths with, people you know aren't bad people, but now they're mixed up with this group. So I don't know. I doubt it's going to be a situation of whether or not it's going to question like their resolve. So like I said, I'm a great episode design, like, and just like I said, I love the approach, and I'm curious to see what goes on in the next episode, especially because we had no cuts to like the quote unquote future thing, and that is still the question: is that real? Is that something in his head, like what that represents? Well, we just kind of have to wait and see. Like I said, it might be a situation where it's kind of like it's kind of spoilers because I always make comparisons, because it's like the first show that I ever saw do something like that and was Lost. To anyone, without going to spoilers, how Lost handles like the flashback stuff in the final season, to anyone that's watched Lost, is it something like that where it's kind of like, it's not like the previous seasons? Well, because like the previous, like I would say like season is that 4 or 5? I think it's 5. 5 and 6 do different things with their flashbacks to a certain extent. More so see the final season, but still, like, is it something like that to anyone that's seen Lost? Do you think it's going to be something like that, or is it something else entirely different? Is it a dream? I don't know. Hopefully, kind of, like I said, I might be like, because I brought this up last episode, but my thought was always like the dream thing would kick in like mid-season finale. So maybe that is going to be the case. Like when it's all said and done, mid-season finale, we can start living in that time and then time frame. It's no longer this time; it's going to be that future time. So. Like I said, ultimately we'll have to wait and see. And also, where will Morgan stand when this is all said and done? Like I said, like he's in that position caught between like his beliefs, but at the same time, it's just like it kind of awoke what Eastman helped him kind of bury and get rid of, but now it's kind of reawoken. Like I said, ever since Richard, he's kind of been killing ever since. So I'm curious to see like where Morgan stands in all of this. Like if Rick did change his mind, what would that mean for Morgan? Would Morgan not agree with it? Even though Morgan was the one initially like, don't, find a different way. And, Jesus is trying to find one, but once again, that does come down to Rick. Also, it's something I completely forgot to bring up last episode. I wanted to, but like I said, I just didn't remember to. It's the whole Jadis and her group from that, what is it? What would you call them? Like, I forgot what I called them last season. Was it that trash community, landfill community, whatever you want to call it, which I haven't seen hide nor hair of them. So I'm curious what role they're going to play this season, because we haven't seen anything of them. Like, are they kind of backing themselves into a corner? Like, are they just on reserve until Negan calls upon them, or what? Or that group that Tara met with last season, and obviously like Rick and them got the guns from, like they didn't want to fight. It's just like, here, take the guns, just leave us out of this, essentially. So Are they going to pop up this season too? So many questions. And we still never found out. Like, we never got an answer. What happened to Keith last season? We haven't seen hide nor hair of him either. Not unless he ended up kind of getting mixed up in this whole savior thing too. That might be something else we'll see, you know. Like I said, but I mean, that's really just me rambling on about my thoughts and stuff like that. So we'll just wait to see what goes down in the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.